Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this live worldwide Sunday edition. We are going to be here for the next 2 hours, as we are every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, I also come back weekdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Coming up today, I really want to talk with the listeners about the lawlessness of the system and where it's going. And whereas the establishment, state-run media, tries to behave like anyone that questions the official system is a kook, the truth is Congress now has a 6% approval rating. That's the latest numbers coming out from Gallup. 6% approval rating. The president's approval rating is dropping like a rock. And the general public has the least amount of trust ever recorded in the history of modern polling for each other. And I think that that's well-founded. The problem is you can trust individuals and even organizations, from my own research, a lot more than you can trust the government and the Fortune 100 or so. These are purely predatory groups who pride themselves on their deceptiveness, who pride themselves on their absolute, total attack on humanity. And so we're going to be breaking all of that down today, coming up after the first break. And I want to talk about the problems in society and the lawlessness of the power structure. But then I also want to speak to the subject of real solutions. And there certainly are a lot of real solutions out there that certainly can be deployed. But the biggest solution is simply getting the public to become aware of how the real world works and who the real players are in this world. So when we go to break, we're going to come back and cover all of that. We have a 1-minute break coming up, and then we will come back and get into also some of the latest news. 4 dead, more than 60 injured, New York City train derail nightmare. Dead at 40, the fiery car crash. He wasn't driving with a friend in a Porsche. Carrera GT reportedly ran off the road at high speeds, ran into a pole, and blew up. That's just some of the news on that front. Of course, the really important news, China flies fighter jets into disputed air defense zone. Japan remains defiant. This could really kick off into a wider war, with both groups threatening to attack each other. South Korea flying aircraft in. Over in England, the London Guardian is being targeted by the government for reporting on the criminal activities of the U.S. government and the NSA. That is going to be coming up. We're also going to get into pressure building on Boehner for an NSA vote. Meanwhile, the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee and the adjunct have come out and said, hey, get rid of the Constitution, whole cloth. That is coming up today as well. But again, the big issue is I want to focus in on the lies. I want to focus in on the manipulation. I want to focus in on the outright deception that is taking place. And what the fundamental mindset and worldview is of the controllers. All this and more coming up straight ahead on this worldwide broadcast on this Sunday. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Why does the United States spin the... Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this live December 1st, 2013 worldwide broadcast. We're here every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time, back weekdays, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go over all of the top stories here just to give you an idea of some of the things that I'm looking at on my desk. And then I want to get into a very dangerous precedent that's being set, not just here, but all over the world under continuity of agenda by major corporations and government think tanks developing a program of absolute tyranny against humanity, a revolution against the Renaissance, against the Enlightenment, against common law, and against really 1,000 years of European war. The Magna Carta is one of the most famous signposts in 1215 to deliver to the people some of the basic checks and balances that have taken 1,000 years, 1,000 years to get codified into common law, are all being erased worldwide. The West was the example of law and justice and prosperity. Not that the West was perfect, but compared to other nations, it was the highest standard. Now the West has been captured by the globalist and is now an engine of evil worldwide. And the abolishment of the family, of private property, of due process, of all the checks and balances that really form the atmosphere of a free society is all being sucked into space right now. We are depressurizing as a society. The shields are down. The walls are now down. On every front, we are now on fire, burning to the ground, if you need a political parallel or parable or analogy. And whenever I take off a few days, and I took off 2 full days, which is a long vacation for me, and only worked half a day the other days, Tuesday through today, I really have time to pull back from the news and pull back from just all the clutter and all the information and just really get freaked out every time I take off a few days and pull back and realize, wow, this is really happening. We have been absolutely on target and absolutely accurate. And the only places that we're not accurate is in the fact that things are much worse than we've said. And then I see the general public, on average, aware that they're being lied to, aware that the system is predatory, but really not having any idea how deep the water is. Folks know they're wet. They're bathed in corruption, bathed in manipulation, bathed in corporate and government discrimination against the common serfs. The population knows that they're literally being drowned in propaganda and social engineering, but they don't know what's swimming in the water. They don't know how deep it is. I have tried to plumb the depths and only find entire new civilizations of evil beneath the depths, beneath the waves. I mean, it is just a whole universe of corruption and fraud and scams, and it's only possible because the free market produced so much wealth and so much freedom and so many choices that it almost gives the evil, well, it doesn't almost, it does, places to hide behind the prosperity. But now it's only facades of prosperity. And every historical, every economic indicator, every cultural indicator shows we are basically going to hell in a handbasket. They've got a Nobel Prize winner in economics coming out saying the stock market's going to melt down and implode. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that inflation is just off the chart. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that that there is massive social engineering going on, and it is pointed at the individual, and it is designed to wreck checks and balances and civilization. And the fruits of the New World Order are everything nasty and stinking and horrible you could ever imagine. Now, I want to read some of the headlines out to you here, and then I want to come back and talk about the revolution of tyranny that's taking place, why there's a revolution of tyranny. I really want to crystallize this. And then we're going to open the phones up to get your take on solutions and ways to counter this and what you think the next year and the next decade and the next 20 years, the next 100 years has in store for humanity. Because we really should, as a culture, as a species, have a discussion about where humanity's going. I'll assure you the establishment is not concerned with Xbox Connect or the NFL. I will assure you the establishment is not concerned with the latest fashions. I will assure you the establishment is not concerned with all of the fake projections they put out to create an artificial habitat, an artificial culture of death to make sure you never realize what's really going on. Oh, I mean, they're interested in the NFL and fashion and culture as a weapon. They designed it. They decide what's popular. They decide what to put out in front of people. They decide how to best screw you up and confuse you. But when it comes to what they're really into, they run like the plague from everything they produce. GMO, aspartame, the additives, fluoride. The globalists all on record are obsessed with not being around any of it. They don't put their children in the government training camps to be dumbed down. Everything they tell you to do, that they put out there on television as the role model of success, is designed to fundamentally destroy you. It's like telling a 2-year-old, go run around in traffic. That's where you'll find the Lucky Charms leprechaun in the pot of gold. A 2-year-old would believe you and walk out into traffic. And that's how I see the general public. And I'm supposed to be a predator and go, well, I'm going to join the elite. The public are a bunch of ugly, dumb, stupid morons who themselves are a bunch of backstabbing rats on average, who would tear my throat out if they could, with exponential envy. So why don't I join the vampire class and feed on them? They're prey animals. That's what they're made for. But I will not do that because I've seen what the establishment's all about, and their fate's even worse than the cattle's fate. But I want to tell the cattle something, the new listeners out there. You are scientifically targeted. And you can live in your own little bubble of denial about this all day. But if you want to turn things around, you're going to have to wake up to the fact you're under attack, number one. And the fact that things are about to get a lot worse, number two. And that there's no hope in beating this by laying down. The only hope is admitting it, getting up on your hind legs, and realizing you're in a war whether you admit it or not. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. The headline's coming up.
Alex Jones.
Do you dare ride the lightning of liberty? Do you have the will to admit that the bell is tolling for the battle between the forces of freedom and the forces of darkness? That is the history of this world. But somehow they convinced you our government was different, that there weren't individuals and groups out there that would combine forces to set up a corporate world tyranny. That's what we now face. And you know that the fruits of the New World Order are slavery and bondage. Let me just give you some of the headlines here. Let's just go over some of these important headlines right here today. This is from CNN. China flies fighter jets into disputed air defense zone. Japan remains defiant. South Korea has now been flying fighter jets in the disputed zone. And I want to be clear, folks, this is globalists that have invested in China and the U.S. playing us off against each other. So remember, there's a much bigger game going on here. But the communist Chinese have been expanding worldwide. They've been given the Panama Canal, you name it. And they are definitely expanding into an international defense zone that was already there if you look at the maps. They have massively expanded, in some cases, more than 80 miles out into the ocean. And are saying that international aircraft, American Airlines, you name it, have to ask permission to basically fly just a few miles away from the coast of Japan. This is a serious, serious provocation. And it all shows where the pivot is going, where the United States, under globalist control, while they move all our factories and power plants out of the U.S. to China, while the globalists shut America down, They're busy using what's left of our military to menace the Communist Chinese Party to play ball with them as they devalue the dollar and as the Communist Chinese are the largest holders of so-called U.S. debt. So this is a very, very serious situation. I will assure you it's more important than the star of Fast and Furious dying in a car wreck today, and that's the big top story, of course. We have a nuclear war with China. They've targeted all our cities. They say they may preemptively nuke the United States. If these provocations continue, they publish in newspapers the U.S. cities they're going to target, including the population death tolls, civilian cities they plan to target, and the average trendy can't even find China on a map. But they do know all about how to put on a football jersey and go to a sports bar and act real tough. So I guess I'm kind of a wimpy guy. I'm here talking about geopolitics. When there's football on, folks, that's obviously I'm a bad person. You know, I know about fractional reserve banking, QE Unlimited. I read what all these economists have to say. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Hey, if you're just some schlub, doesn't do any research, doesn't care about freedom, you can just put me down. You're better than me. You just go, oh, that's one of those weirdos. He reads books. Sorry, let me get into the rest of the news here for you. You know, the number one cause of death that's unnatural in this country and worldwide as well is transportation. But, you know, honeybees kill over 200 people a year in the U.S. alone. Wasps kill more than 300. Rattlesnakes, several hundred. Water moccasins, more than 400. But people aren't scared of those. They're scared of great white sharks that kill 5 people a year worldwide on average. Because the movie said you should be afraid of it. And it's the same thing with terrorism. You've got a better chance of dying from a honeybee than you do of dying of a terrorist attack. You can look up those numbers. Even a U.S. News and World Report admits that. About a year after I kept putting out that factoid, I just went and looked up the death numbers, and now that's a well-known meme you hear that honeybees kill more people than terrorism. I hear it everywhere. Just like I said, Obamacare is like the Nigerian email scam where they just rope you into more and more. And now I'm not bragging. It's just interesting to see how we can put a meme out now and see people pick it up. The reason I point this out is they say they want to take all your rights and spy on you and have federalized police and giant armored vehicles and billions of rounds of ammo for Muslim terrorists who the government on record runs overseas. They told Russia if they don't play ball with NATO and Saudi Arabia and let them hand Syria over to al-Qaeda. This was said 2 months ago in mainstream news. BBC reported it, London Guardian, Russian news, but not here, that Saudi Arabia, with the backing of the U.S., people that run our country, would blow up the Winter Olympics coming up in Russia. Would blow them up. That was in the mainstream news. The head of Saudi intelligence said, we will blow up the Olympics if you don't stop fighting al-Qaeda in Syria. But meanwhile, I've got to have some TSA minion narrow their eyes, ask me questions, have a chat down, like play this game like I'm a suspect. It's all about government teaching you you're bad. Government teaching you you're guilty until proven innocent. I can't even go to our ranch we've had since 1829 and camp without a game warden pulling up and demanding to come in the shack or whatever to see if we have illegal deer dead. Because I'm guilty until proven slave. That's how it is. But the government can launder all the drug money, run all the white slavery. That's fine. It's all about we're bad, they're good. No, they're scum. The government's criminal. It's converted over to total tyranny and is trying to get rid of any liberty that's left. That's how this works, folks. You're the enemy. You're the milk cow. You're the blood bag to the vampires, and they're not going to back off. Historically, we've gone past the point of no return. We're going down the rat hole. That's really the big announcement I want to make. We've just got to figure out, those of us that produce, how we're going to hide out during all this and not be sucked dry by the giant 100 million welfare heads and all the government pimps and scum and trash and morons and people that can't even talk or tie their shoelaces. Just giant hordes of scum everywhere, running wild. Excuse me. They'll probably have nuclear war before then. The government's just filled with doddering, nepotism-filled, narcissistic scum. Excuse me. Let me go back to the real threat here. Transportation. Upwards of 300,000 people die a year of transportation-related fatalities. It's like 1 million plus injuries. 4 dead, more than 60 injured in New York City train derailment nightmare. You know why the U.S. has so many derailments? Our trains can't even go above 45 miles an hour because we have the worst train system in the world. The worst train system in the industrialized world. It's a joke because the globalists have had a policy for 50 years to shut this country down. You understand that? They've got you now as a bunch of service workers or bureaucrats or corporate minions with government contracts. They've got you right where they want you. You know why the trains all fly off the tracks constantly? Because the rails are rotting. And you can't go above 45 miles an hour or the train starts jumping. But then they order the train to get there quicker. And so then it flies off the rails. And then they have a bunch of reasons of why it happened. I'm sure they'll end up indicting somebody. 4 dead, 60 injured. Maybe they had some TSA agents on there blessing the tracks. That would have fixed it. Or maybe on the train, maybe they would have grabbed more people's genitals getting on the train. That would have fixed it, because they have that up in New York City, where they literally grab your genitals, search it, have guys with machine guns bugging their eyes out at you when their bosses blew up the World Trade Center, ran the whole Al-Qaeda operation, blew up Building 7 down the street. They all love it. Love it. Oh, but the big news is dead at 40 in fiery car crash. We're so sorry for him. Paul Walker riding with his buddy, and I am sorry. But I'm supposed to only get concerned about one person, like Stalin said. One person dies, it's a tragedy. 10,000 die, it's a statistic. We're going to talk about Black Friday when we come back. Huge technology news. Comet news as well. And so much more. And we're going to get into the globalist master plan, where they want to take you, why they're doing all this, and the NSA. All right, folks, that's the type of intros we have on the InfoWars Nightly News. We have new intros every week. 7 o'clock Central, prisonplanet.tv, InfoWarsNews.com. Let me hit some more headlines. Then in the next segment, I will get into the culture of tyranny and the revolution against common sense, the revolution against prosperity, the revolution against liberty, the revolution against the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, the revolution against the individual. And I'm going to explain why the globalists want it in their own documents and own words, and where they think they're going to take us. And then I'm going to show evidence that they won't take us. They're going to take us straight to hell, straight to World War III. The globalists are so delusional, folks. 91%, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, of nuclear reactors are leaking. In the past, they would fix them. They just don't care now. It's like they're homicidal demons trying to kill us. That's what I'm telling you. The establishment is so busy with their mistresses and their boyfriends and partying and being a bunch of narcissists that they have gone nihilistically haywire and have got to be stopped. But the general public's gotten totally decadent and out of their mind as well. It's television. It's the culture. People think that's real. They think, even famous people I know, are totally unhappy, obsessed with other Hollywood stars and people, thinking they're living some wonderland, even though they're living 5 doors down from them. And they're all totally unhappy, chasing a carrot that doesn't exist, when absolute enlightenment, absolute Valhalla, absolute energy and information is all around us on this planetoid in deep space, hurtling through the edge of the Milky Way. Whoa! You are not going to find fulfillment with all these turds on TMZ. Unfortunately, most people have not experienced what I've experienced and had a chance to get to know most of the big Hollywood people, been to their houses, you name it. And why do you think over the years, back when I would fly out to L.A. or wherever I got invited, or people would fly me out there, sometimes on private jets, it's like sending their taxi or their driver for you. People say, well, why don't you do it now? I don't have time for it. I've been there, done that 50 times. That those folks are reaching out to me just because they've already been inside the system and know there isn't some grass greener on the other side. There's nothing else. And I'm not telling you about stuff like that to brag. Believe me, 99% of what I've seen in Hollywood and New York, no one will ever even hear. The point is that I'm telling you that so you realize that the system dangles this whole fake culture in your face to make you think you're inadequate and unfulfilled, so you'll buy into their culture thinking it will fulfill you when it's designed to wreck you. If you can go to a beautiful park and look at the sky, or if you can look up at the night sky, or if you can paint a painting, or if you can go to church and feel a connection to God, or if you can be in love, like George Strait says, if you're not loving, you're not living, then you are fulfilled. I've got all this news to cover. I just want to say the system will not empower you. It is there to enslave you and to shutter your mind, because these people want to be God. They want you looking at them. They want you believing their artificial construct, their worldwide Madison Avenue projection of artificial reality, a giant Times Square system where everywhere you go, you're bombarded with their messages. I mean, I got multiple Amber Alerts on my iPhone, my slave phone, my NSA tracker system today, and messages from Obama. I mean, that is so Orwellian, ladies and gentlemen. Even state-run media is flipping out right now about how all the media stage, they lie to them, and they don't even get access anymore. They don't need access. They put out a press release, you regurgitate it, or you lose your job. And so now all the sycophants in the corporate media are freaking out because now they're not even needed. And they're moving to the next phase where you're all going to be out of a job, and then they're going to try to shut down the real media. That's next. And that's all been announced by the Pentagon. I mean, here's what's frustrating about this, folks. 99% of all this, literally, of what I'm telling you is on record white papers, DARPA, the Advanced Defense Laboratories. Our system, the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned of in 1960, is run by offshore megabanks who are eugenicists, transhumanists, who've already decided the course of the world, and you and I aren't in it. And to make that self-fulfilling prophecy reasonable, they have set up a culture and a system to dumb you down and turn you into the most mindless of idiotic animals. And every statistic shows it. Physical IQ going down, dexterity going down, cancer rates off the charts, everything. We are being murdered. Murdered. And the average so-called person doesn't even understand that, or you hear it and you live in a fantasy world, because from the time you were born in your diapers in front of the television, while mama was, you know, in the back doing Lord knows what and daddy wasn't home, the average person was raised by the television set, incrementally screwing you up with fake role models and archetypes until people think they can just say, oh, I don't believe that guy, and then it makes it not true.
I just found me a brand.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, I'm going to get into the total culture of lies. Then I'm going to get into new low for Congress, just 6% approve. Finally lower than car salespeople. It's not fair to car salesmen to compare them to Congress. And then we're going to get into the attack on the free press by the NSA corporate fraud grid. And then I'm going to get into a science stack. And then I will get into the culture of fraud. You see, folks, they had arrests in more than 10 cities. Thousands demonstrated against Walmart. And the fact that people that work there can't even afford to have Thanksgiving turkey. Now they're having fast food strikes planned in hundreds of cities. That's the headline on DrudgeReport.com, with a crying Ronald McDonald. The people that work there can't even afford to eat there. And again, government creates the deindustrialization, creates the inflation by devaluing the dollar, where Mr. Gaddy's just 4 or 5 years ago was $5 for a buffet. It's now $9 something for a buffet. Oh, but there's no inflation at the local pizza place, even though it's almost doubled in 5 years. I forgot to eat except for breakfast today, so I never eat at Mr. Gaddy's, but it's okay, local pizza. So I pulled in knowing about $2.50 that they had a buffet. Hadn't been in there in years, and I walked in, talked to the manager and stuff, and they've almost doubled their prices the last 5 years, and their profits are way down because the economy, obviously, is in free fall, and there is huge inflation. But the government puts out fake inflation numbers and fake employment numbers, and it comes out it's fake. Just like Obamacare doubles, triples, quadruples. It was written by absolutely ruthless offshore banks that admit that they want to bankrupt you to make you politically manageable. They They don't want prosperity. They don't want uppity middle classes and an example to the world of America and the West being rich. They don't want to take our wealth under globalism. That's what liberals think. Oh, globalism is you take Western wealth and you give it to Africa or Latin America. No, 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 no. You bring them down and us down to their level. And that's what the Copenhagen Treaty 4 years ago that got leaked showed, where the carbon taxes were almost double on the third world that they were on us. This is a shutdown system because for the technocrats, they already control the wealth and the issuance of currency and credit. They want to control the individual. And they want to control what's left of the nation state. And they want no one to stand in their way. And the way to do that is to, through regulations and other systems, shut everyone down but themselves. That is the name of the game. Write the regulations where they're exempt, everybody else is weighed down in ball and chain, red tape, and then they take over. It's economic conquest. And this is a fact in economic white papers and best-selling books by insiders, and even people that write books for this admit it. Like Superclass, written by the head of the Kissinger Group, and Zbigniew Brzezinski, and all of them. I mean, that's what's so frustrating. People say, oh, I choose not to believe that. You choose not to believe the sun came up today? You choose not to believe the high in Austin, Texas, where I'm broadcasting from, was 72 degrees? I mean, it's a fact. These aren't my opinions. And so I want to throw this out there and then come back in the next hour and take your calls, and specifically on this topic. A lot of times it's open phones. This is on the issue of what are your examples of lawlessness in government and corporations and real discrimination? Because we're all trained to see discrimination as you're black, I'm white, or I'm black, you're white, and you think somebody served you quicker at the checkout line. And then the media hypes that up, or gay people beat up straight people, or straight people beat up gay people. Let's all fight with each other, or all this divide and conquer, Catholic against Protestant, agnostic against Christian, on and on and on. Well, meanwhile, there's 6 big banks worldwide that have gotten total, last time they put numbers out a few years ago, $48 trillion of U.S. taxpayer money to bail out their debts that weren't our national debt. Our national debt's only $17 trillion. The Chinese only own $2 trillion of it. We're told how much we're in debt. We've given 48+ trillion, and that's an old number. Worldwide, it's over 100 trillion. That's mainstream news. But footnote, 100 trillion of your money that you got to pay interest on to give these people the money. Folks, that's why they've got us all divided and conquered. It's the old British Empire model. Play groups off against each other. And they're bringing in a system that's predatory against virtuous, intelligent, middle class. They want that wiped out. That is the ultimate sin of this group. This isn't just some elite that wants to take over and is using economics to conquer us. They want to conquer the human spirit, the human genome, and the world's genetics, in their own words, to be the mind of God. That's what DARPA has said through Google. They say they don't believe in God yet. They will become gods. The chief technologist and futurist at Google, Ray Kurzweil, says that. They all say that. And again, when I criticize it, they have the New York Times, the Washington Post, the BBC, Channel 4, all in England, all of them go, Jones says the elite are going to merge with machines and become God. He's insane. I'm quoting them. Whether it's going to happen or not, whether it's feasible or not, the point is this is what makes them tick. This is their game plan. Do you understand me? The stupid football game doesn't matter. They're literally put chemical weapons in the tap water to dumb you down. That's why you're so stupid. You understand this? That's why you can't get upset. It's why you're in a fog. They're attacking you. And I'm not talking to our regular listeners. I'm talking as we're on a whole bunch of AM and FM stations. 160 plus weekdays, over 80 on the Sunday show. We're reaching millions of people right now. And I'm talking to new listeners. This isn't a game. This isn't just some other channel and somebody else up there talking. I know what I'm talking about. Finally, Ammo Land has reported, and so has the NRA, on what I've been telling you for years because I read the news every day, all over the country. It's usually an old man who still thinks they live in America cleaning a gun, even in rural areas, in their garage, a neighbor who's moved in from New York or California or some other, big city in one of those states, sees them cleaning the gun, calls the police, and the police take all their guns and arrest them. I see stories where a guy was in a rural area cleaning a deer in his backyard, and some Californians saw it, called the police, and the police said, we're going to go ahead and arrest you. Look that up. And you're like, how do they do it? Well, it's their policy. It's called tyranny. Look at these articles. Legalized theft of guns, ammo, land, November 25th. I've been talking about this for days. It's got examples from Arizona to California to Texas. And in here, it gives mainstream news links to where the police literally come to your house because a tree fell into your neighbor's car or whatever, and they see guns in your house, they take them. And then you've got to go fight in court for 2 years at a cost 2-3 times what the guns are worth to get your guns back, and then they still refuse lawlessly. That's like if the cops openly, say, beat your son to death in front of everyone on television. This has happened before. In fact, a cop out in California, his son was beaten to death for no reason by 8 cops. They went to file a complaint, and they said, well, we're not going to take your complaint. See, they don't tell you it's the law they've got to take it, or they've committed a felony and are now part of the crime, aiding and abetting under the Constitution, state law, and common law. They will lie in a criminal conspiracy against the public and say, we're not taking your complaint. Or we're going to give it to Internal Affairs, which is a fake complaint, not a criminal complaint on record. And folks, I'm not ganging up on the police here, because they're just where the rubber meets the road. I'm talking about this because we're under NATO control of our military right now, on record. Totally illegal, violates the Constitution. Congress has done nothing. Obama on energy, on borders, on defense, on Obamacare, now acts as a dictator, and actually have it in the news. Paul Krugman was in the New York Times last week saying it's good to have him as a dictator. They create a problem. They create the crisis. They don't let it go to waste. And then now we'll let him decide what to do. And Congress is going along with it. The NSA is illegally spying on us. It's come out for economic data to be given to select corporations. And now they have Dianne Feinstein and others, I have this in the stack, coming out in the news and saying it doesn't matter if it's illegal. We've got to do this to keep you safe from Al-Qaeda. Folks, they run Al-Qaeda on record. Admit I was right. It's public. The entire training is for gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, returning veterans, and anyone who is right of linen, if you want to use that political spectrum as a yardstick. It's happening, okay? The Army manuals now demonize mainline Christians. It's happening. They're trying to get a foothold and sell this takeover and ban free speech and ban it all. And it's part of a criminal movement. Here's the toll-free number. You can get lined up. I want your take on examples of government lawlessness. How bad you think the collapse is going to get that's mathematically certain. And how you think we fix things, your solutions. I want to hear them. Toll-free number, 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. First-time callers only, 877-789-2539. I want to hear your examples of government lawlessness and corporate lawlessness. See, if you're part of the system, suddenly you're above the law. Just like the big banks laundering the drug money. But the cop pulls you over and wants to search your car. Statistically, that cop's more criminal than the average person. How about we search your car? How about you start treating us like free people? Instead, America's been turned into a bunch of sheep who love to bend over. And that's why you're being treated like slaves, because you act like cowards. Second hour coming up. All right, so I kind of went into a rant there, just trying to shake people like a drill sergeant out of their malaise. Because if you don't get up, if you don't admit you're under attack, if you don't find your survival instinct, you're going to basically be politically dead and then physically dead. They're economically bankrupting us, bringing us into serfdom. You got to find your killer instinct, ladies and gentlemen. And your killer instinct's really your survival instinct. I don't mean actually go out and kill people. I'm saying you've got to learn to fight back. You've got to learn to recognize when you're under attack and not be a coward and roll over, believing that if you get in a fetal position, it's going to make it all better. We got loaded phone lines here. I've got to get to the other news because there is just so much of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly, as they say. But I really want to hear from callers, folks, on your examples of the government engaged in this criminal takeover. And again, I say the government, it's the membrane through which the criminal interest in the corporate world get away with murder, and the public doesn't even know that they're basically the puppeteers. I want your take on this, and I want to hear your ideas for solutions. I've got a lot of ideas for solutions, but it's easy to throw out solutions. I've done that in most of my films. I talk about it here on air: nullification, getting healthy, getting involved, not turning your guns in, having a healthy family, educating the public, suing corrupt government people, standing up to them, exercising the First Amendment, voting with your dollars for organic, high-quality foods, local companies, buy America. None of us are perfect, but buy America as much as you can. Buy in your own country. But the biggest thing is waking up, folks. People are upset now. They know things are going bad, but they're believing more government's going to save them. We've got to teach people about the narrative of the New World Order, because that's the real narrative. That's the game plan. People know things are wrong. They don't trust the system, but they don't know why it's happening. They don't know who the enemy is. Knowing the enemy is half the battle. And that's not from G.I. Joe. That's a military term, thousands of years old. Know thy enemy as thyself. Sun Tzu, all of them, the Romans, all of it. It's the same permutations. If you don't know the enemy, folks, you don't have a chance in a snowball in you-know-where. Let's take a phone call before I go to break, and then we'll come back and go to more. Andy in Tennessee, you're first up out of the box. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. How are you doing?
Pretty freaked out, loving my children, pretty freaked out about how bad things are.
Right on. I just want to give you props. You're a great God-fearing man, and that's what it's all about. We got to put God first, and I just wanted to take a moment and step back and take a look at Honda. They're coming out with new artificial intelligence. There's a robot called Atlas, and what's going to happen when these people are not held accountable for the things that these robots and artificial intelligence do?
They're already coming out saying the robots will have rights. Just like if you kill a police dog, you get life in prison, but you kill another citizen, you get on average about 6 years in jail, because a dog is worth 100 times what a human is when it's in service to the government. When it's not, it's no big deal for the government to kill your dog. You know, a chihuahua, they feel like if it barks at them. But the robots, in fact, that's coming up. The robots are going to have more rights than you're going to have. And you're right, they're coming out with Sentinel robots. I'm going to cover that in the next segment.
Yes, sir. And, if my dog sat on the front porch and bites a mailman, they want to kill my dog and put me behind bars, So I just wanted to thank you for you looking out to God, and I just want people to wake up.
God bless you, and thanks for putting up with me, brother. Please, listeners, don't thank me. Rush Limbaugh has that dittos thing. And I just, people, I should just call in and say, let's all work together. Let's keep going. Because I want to thank you. I'm always just burning to get on air, especially when I've been off a few days and I get on air and don't make half the points I meant to. We've just got to find our basic instinct of liberty again and not be a domesticated creature. Domestication leads to slaughter. We want to be free like Mustangs on the plains or like the Comanche. We do not want to be domesticated by the New World Order because they're eugenicists that are sworn to kill us deader than a hammer. And people better wake up to the fact you can't choose a side. The globalists are coming down on everybody. Everybody.
Strategic.
Thanks for joining us. Well, I tell you, 2013 is ultra long in the old tooth. Before you know it, it'll be 2014 as we plunge into the future on Spaceship Earth. By the way, they're saying that comet that almost plunged into the sun, they thought it had plunged into the sun, is now a zombie comet because they've never, in modern times, since they've had telescopes out, documented one going right by the sun and almost completely being burnt up with only a small fragment surviving, but it may still be visible in the night sky in the next 2 to 3 weeks in December. So we're going to be telling you some about that. I've got a huge stack of science news. Let me just give people these headlines, and I'll cover it after I go to your phone calls. Look at this Times of India report. Humans emerge from male pig and female chimp, world's top geneticist says. Humans are actually hybrids who emerge as an offspring of a male pig and a female chimpanzee, according to one of the world's leading geneticists. Turning the theory of human ancestry on its head, Dr. Eugene McCarthy, one of the world's leading authorities on hybridization in animals from the University of Georgia, has suggested that humans didn't evolve from just apes, but was a back-cross hybrid of chimpanzees and pigs. Folks, these scientists have no idea what's actually going on. And if you guys actually click that link on the article, it'll take you actually to the Times of India. I want to show the actual source on that. Thanks. Don't want to show people the image they have there. That's because, and I don't get into the church's fake debate about evolution not existing, and then preachers make themselves scientists, and then to get into a false debate with other preachers of Darwinism who then make up a bunch of stuff. The truth is things spontaneously basically appear in the fossil record, and that's a fact. And the theory of evolution as we see it is a fraud. All the top geneticists are now saying, someone designed this. Space aliens must have done it. And they have all these theories. And Prometheus, like the movie Prometheus, it must be like Prometheus. This is now what the majority of them believe, or that we're crossed with a pig and a chimpanzee, because they're looking at the genetics and it's not what they said. And you can breed a tiger with a lion or a donkey with a horse because they're so closely related. And most of the time you'll get a sterile offspring, a mule or a liger. But you don't breed chimpanzees with pigs, folks. I've studied enough genetics. That is total, absolute bull. That is like saying that, you know, a shark is going to breed with a halibut. I mean, those are even closer related, and they can't even mate. I mean, this is just absolute, total bull. So there you go. They're changing, but you know they still teach in public schools the theory of evolution from 150 years ago, showing babies in utero with gills, which isn't true. I mean, they don't care. They don't care. Why not? Tell people Obamacare gave you free health care. It isn't true. People think, anyways, I'm ranting. That's just one article. Let me give you some of the other articles. Look at this out of the Daily Mail. Dial 0000000 for Armageddon. U.S. top secret launch nuclear code was frighteningly simple. That's right. That was the designation during the Cold War for the nuclear football. The launch codes for the president to give the authorization to destroy the planet, basically, was 0000000. That's hard to figure out. Continuing here, is it okay to torture or murder a robot? BBC reports they're now going to launch robots as police. In fact, that's now being done. And so they want to make it where you'll get life in prison for hurting one of their robots. But if the police kill you, a slave, serf, it'll be they'll get a medal, kind of like drone pilots. And here it is out of the New York Times. Coming soon, a night watchman with wheels. That's right, rolling robots that look like R2-D2, spying on you, bossing you around, face scanning you, and then they can call in the drones. And then the really important news, is it safe? Radioactive Japanese wave nears U.S. That was like when I was watching a press conference back when Bush was in office, Bush 43. They were asking Perino, they were asking the spokeswoman, the press secretary, is it true there's been some dollar devaluation? Of course, you could just look at the numbers on the world market and see the dollar was being devalued. And she'd say, I'm not going to comment on monetary issues. Like, is it true the sun came up this morning? And they're like, is it a problem that finally, after 2.5 years, the radioactive wave of junk and garbage, highly radioactive, you've already seen a 5-fold increase in places in San Diego, the amount of radiation in the tuna and things like that. Now the main wave is about to hit early next year, and they say, is it dangerous? In the wake of the deadly tsunami that hit Japan in 2011 and severely damaged nuclear reactor, it's reactors, 5 of the 6. Get that straight, Fox News. Japanese officials, not servants, say that the level of radiation are safe for everyone outside the reactor itself. But as radioactive water from the plant nears the west coast of North America, the water is expected to hit in 2014. Can we be sure it's safe? But the government says it's very safe and good for you. That's right. In fact, Ann Coulter says the Japanese should be thankful for the increased radiation. I think she should go live in the shattered reactor. Most of the rescue team that helped try to contain it, they're all dead now, but most of them are dead. But anyways, no, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Radiation's good for you. Mother's milk's bad. Big government's dangerous. George Washington said it, I know. I'm that wild guy. Oh, boy, I'm saying radiation and high levels is bad for you. I mean, the International Atomic Energy Agency admits that Chernobyl from 1986 killed over 1 million people in the aggregate from tumors. But hey, what's a million dead? I apologize for being extreme. The radiation's good. Just drink all the salt water, eat the fish, everything's fine. Okay, there. I'm a mainstream broadcaster now. All right, everything's fine. Obamacare works great. And, of course, the new website didn't work again, but they'll just tell you it did work like they've been doing for 2 months and everything's fine. Okay, the site works great. And Obama didn't hire any lobbyists, and he lied about everything, but that's okay. Okay, continuing here with the news, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, actually, people are awake to what's going on, but they don't realize how bad it is. And here's the latest Gallup poll that I mentioned earlier. But I'll show this to you from the Washington Examiner. It's up on drudgereport.com and Infowars.com, as well as Prisonplanet.com. New low for Congress. Just 6% approve, finally lower than car salespeople. Was previously 10%, now it's 6%. Isn't that just sweet? In God we trust, maybe, but not each other. The same poll out shows a record low, folks trusting each other. Continuing here, inside the Race to Rescue healthcare site, and Obama, like Obama did it. It's not like foreign banks did it. Oh, and here it is out of the Telegraph. Media attacks Obama's Soviet-style publicity policy, where they don't do press conferences or they only take prearranged questions and only do photo ops now. Because they don't even need you anymore. No one watches state-run media, so why shouldn't they just put the press release? In fact, they've now come out in the last 5 years with the CIA program where they put a press release in and then it rewrites it 100 different ways to make it look like people wrote it. They put a fake name on it, and a lot of the news you see now and a lot of the witnesses and people they have in government articles are totally made up. I'm not kidding. You think I'm joking? Look it up. Just type in CIA creates fake writing programs, fake journalism programs. Continuing here, everything's going to automation. It's drones that are automated, robots. You're not needed anymore. Drink fluoride, drink deep. They love you. Doesn't matter that every globalist white paper says they're creating a technocracy to slowly poison everyone and then kill us en masse. That's scary. It's obviously not true. Government loves you. Drink fluoride. Take extra shots. When you go in a Walgreens or CVS and they give you a discount for taking the shot, it's because it's good for you, and they love you, and they want to help you. We'll be right back. That's right, folks. And Obama says 100 million people have signed up for Obamacare, even though it's less than 10,000. Doesn't matter. I'm a conspiracy theorist because I question known liars. So I'm going to be mainstream broadcaster. I agree, 100 million signed up. It's good the Army's being trained in official manuals that George Washington was bad and gun owners are bad. You can just type in Army manual demonizes gun owners and George Washington. You'll get mainstream news. And I agree. I think that's normal. I feel real good about the government doing that. Because George Washington was a bad person. If you just tuned in, I'm being sarcastic about George Washington being a bad person. I'm not being sarcastic about those Army manuals. And when we pointed out, first the media attacks us and goes, what's the big deal? And later, well, I guess we'll stop teaching that. It shows how whacked out, freakazoid the people are that are running the system. And I'm normal because I'm freaked out about it, folks. And I want to do something about it. I'm real mad about 3 new coal power plants a week in China as they shut down on average 3 a week here or more. Because I know our #1 source of power, 52%, is coal. And I know our power prices are going up. And for me, that just hurts my pocketbook. For a lot of poor folks, that wrecks their lives. And I know they're doing that so nobody can compete in America, and you got to move to China. And that gets me hopping angry, cheating Americans. Bunch of globalists playing games. And I get real angry when the Dallas mayor says no free speech, no rallies allowed for 4 days in Dallas on the 50th anniversary. So I go up there, and for 3 days I go, well, good job, Dallas police, for being in America and not arresting me, even though the mayor said to. We'll work with you and won't bullhorn during the ceremonies and stuff. And then the feds just send in the Dallas Sheriff's Department to punch people in the face and beat people up and grab me around the neck and everything else. And they all look like thugs who hated us. They hated Americans they hated freedom. They hated the shield of liberty. If I'd have been standing in Walmart wanting some slave good, beating somebody up, there's video of women beating each other up and men beating each other up, and the cops don't stop them. They come over and try to take the camera of the guy that filmed it. I mean, there's video out of a woman ran off the road into the edge of water. She ended up dying. She drowned after they got her out. And the cop stands there and said, I'm not getting wet. That the video's on Infowars.com. And 5 other men dig them out. And I guess the word is they're going to try to give the men that tried to save the women tickets. That's like this new thing that they do where if a city lifeguard goes 1 foot over the line of the city property at the beach to save somebody, they get arrested. I mean, this is a government for itself, by itself, period. So incredibly disgusting. A cop that won't render aid. It's because that's who they want. It's come out that the LA Sheriff's Department hires criminals on purpose. Of course they do. I mean, I know hardcore convicts when I see them, folks. I'll guarantee you those were hardened crooks, a bunch of them that were in the Sheriff's Department. I had a buddy who was in the Army call me and go, man, that was my drill sergeant, one of those guys. That guy was horrible. He was the worst guy at the base, totally evil. Now he was in command of those people. I even know his name. That's who they've got, units of literal trash. I said I'd go to your calls. I got to shut up and go to your calls. It's just that get your instinct back. Stop lying down. We're in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take calls the rest of the show. I got a little bit of NSA news to hit. I haven't plugged anything yet, but I've got 12 calls on the line. That's what this current phone system takes. When you hear somebody hang up, it's your chance to call in at 877-789-2539. Kathy and Chris and Sully and Tony and Ben and Laura and John and Eric and Alan and BB and Lola and Daniel and everybody else, we're going to get to you. But separately, before I take your calls, I want to just tell people a couple things. I put out a magazine at cost because as print dies, we go into print. We dominate the web, we go into print. It's been very successful getting the word out. Big color, glossy magazine, 64 pages. And it's got a bunch of dinosaurs. One's CNN, one's MSNBC, one's CBS, out there on the green field as the comet comes in to kill them. And the comet's named New Media. And they have no idea what's about to hit them. And this whole issue is just really bombshell. It is the latest issue, now out and available. Great to give friends and family. You can get these in groups of 10 up to 100 at cost, or give somebody a gift subscription. Great to do this Christmas season. Ooh, I'm politically incorrect. This Christmas season. And again, ladies and gentlemen, it is the December 2013 issue, and it is a great way to wake people up. It is a great way to take action and to reach out to people, and it covers a whole bunch of really, really key issues across the board. And it's got good-looking women with 50 caliber rifles firing them as well, things like that. And they're really evil, male-type stuff is in there, just real Americana. It's just gets into all the proctology exams police are doing under federal orders all over the road. It's just, the magazine covers it all. And it's available at InfoWarsStore.com. And it's big, glossy magazines you can buy in bulk to give out to people to wake them up after you're done reading them. Or give a 12-issue gift subscription. We're running a special right now of 30% off on the gift subscriptions at InfoWarsStore.com. And lastly, I'm going to put a video out this week explaining it. It's the best coffee I've ever had. I finally was able to private label it at lower price, about 45% lower price than when I was buying it at retail. It is Wake Up America Patriot Blend, Arabica, shade-grown, high mountains, Chiapas, Mexico. It's better than Guatemalan, which is my previous favorite. Took me 2 years to get this deal done directly from the folks. It's total fair trade. It's co-op level, Oregon Tilt, highest level of organic certification, roasted in Colorado by patriots. There's photos on the site that people literally, their giant coffee roasting machines have Infowars.com on them before I was buying stuff from them. It's funny. I finally found out where I could get it. They were already listeners. So match made in heaven, lovingly roasted in America, InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com. And we have the immune support that also has these amazing mushrooms infused, shown to boost immune system. And we have the nascent iodine, special atomic iodine that is a certified, patented, special type. that uses sound wave technology unlike anything you've ever had for the thyroid, the rest of the body, with all that radiation hitting the West Coast. That's why I ended up getting this product. Nobody even knew about it, and I was seeing what I could do for my family. InfoWarsLife.com. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can call the toll-free number, ask any questions about any specials on the products, any of it, InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. And that is, again, up on Infowars.com. You can just link through the shopping cart there. And that's how we fund our operation. Not like NPR with taxpayer money, not like MSNBC with stimulus money. It's free association, free market, high-quality products that I personally use, develop, believe in. ProPure, best gravity-fed system, water filters, 20% off promo code WATER20. It's all available at InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. I promise, when we come back, I'm going directly to your calls on solutions to turn this around and the lawlessness of the rogue government. And the last, waging war on corruption. You know, I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central, Lord willing, with the weekday broadcast. You can find all the details, free podcast, audio streams, video streams at Infowars.com. Okay, I've been hogging the time. I appreciate all the callers holding. I'm going to go to your calls right now. And for those that just joined us, I'm asking the listeners, I use the example of police under federal grants confiscating legal firearms all over the country. Carpet cleaners at your house, sees a gun case, doesn't like it, cops come take them. Just say, our policy is we want to take your guns. They don't give them back. This is Ammo Land and the NRA reporting on this. And it's just an example of how government does whatever it wants now, because it's regulating itself. That's called tyranny. What are your examples of government tyranny and government being above the law? And then what are your ideas of solutions to turn this around? Or have we passed the point of no return? Let's go to Kathy, Sully, Tony, Ben, Laura, John, Eric, Alan, BB, Lola, and others. I'm going to you right now. Kathy in North Carolina, thanks for holding.
Sure. Well, the examples I can think of where the government thinks it's against the law are things that they made legal, like the chemtrails, and then Public Law 105-85, where they can spray unknowing citizens. GMOs, vaccines, fluorine. We let the NDAA go by, even though Ron Paul talked about that openly. You know, and they obviously, if someone connects the dots, are not our friends. They're
you might as well be speaking Martian, though. You're totally informed. You know about the public law where they claim they can do lethal testing on us. It was for law enforcement or research. They have on the books they can kill us for research purposes in the U.S. Code. You just gave that out. The average lawyer doesn't even know how to look that up. You just talked about the geoengineering that's declassified, spraying aluminum dioxide on us, and the average person does not even know what you're talking about. The NDAA, where they can secretly arrest you, torture you, and kill you. Obama should have been instantly impeached when he signed that December 31st, 2011. The average person doesn't know what that is and thinks you're bad because you know information.
Right. Yeah. And so to me, it seems like certainly trying to vote the right person in, what choices we get, anyways, is not the answer. And it seems like one problem is for the world family to act as one, we have the language barrier that kind of puts a crimp in that. But if we communicated to each other with pictures, like for instance, I know they're putting billboards up, getting donations for billboards about chemtrails and different things. But if it was on the internet and we used pictures, like there's a company called, I don't know if I can say it, I'm not trying to advertise with them, but if we use pictures for a language and try to all come up with an action.
You know, it's funny you're saying this. I want to come up with an image of people listening to a radio, then a TV, then a computer, then a smartphone, then Google glasses, then brain ports, then the brain replaced with machinery, electronics, and then we're not human anymore. You could show that in pictures to show people the actual plan. Great points. I'm trying to get a graphics crew together. I'm trying to get more money in to hire more people so that we can realize all that and get across the language barrier. I was jogging this morning and had that epiphany. Pictures. We've got to put out online free storybooks to explain the New World Order, to explain water fluoridation, to explain what they're putting in the vaccines. That's the answer. Absolutely. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Sully in New York, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, there's a little static before you got on.
Yeah, that's what it does. For those that don't know, on the standard talk radio phone system, when you get aired, it goes to let you know you're going on air. Go ahead.
So you talked about, to name some things that corporations are doing. And government. One of the biggest ones, obviously, is Fast and Furious. But one of the ones that's not as well known is, and I forgot what the name of the actual statute was, but they allow for testing of, they allow for diesel exhaust, diesel trucks to sit under pipes at hospitals and pump the diesel air right into certain rooms in the hospitals to make people more sick.
Actually, sir, that was North Carolina EPA secret programs to literally do secret lethal human experimentation. That broke this year. In fact, David Knight, a group he was involved with in North Carolina, actually broke that. Yes, you're right.
Right. So, I mean, that's an example of the government just being allowed to do something like that, and nobody really saying or doing anything about it. But you asked for solutions. Really, the best solution, and I hate to sound corny, but honestly, the best solution is just freedom, you know. And what do I mean by that? Meaning that the more people know about actually what's going on and the more they're free to create their own solutions as to what to do that are, healthy and nonviolent and et cetera, the more creative and the more exciting it becomes.
I totally agree. And more, I think we should do all this instead of me having to hire people, train them, figure it all out, deal with all the interpersonal stuff that comes with management. Because I have a great team now, but it's been hard to develop them, find the right people. I need to have more contests where we have contests by graphic artists on different subjects to then put out a coffee table book to finance the paying of the artist, but then put it out online for free on like 10 subjects worldwide, the final chapter showing human unity against the breakaway civilization. And the globalists, in literally hundreds of white papers going back over 100 years ago, said they would create a breakaway technocracy, siphoning off our tax money behind a national security state to then build this advanced civilization where the elite are so advanced from us, it's like gods to insects, is the way that they describe it. And they're building what Eisenhower warned of. The scientific technological elite is in control of the military-industrial complex. That's the full quote. And they are literally building a dehumanization grid. God bless you, sir. Good to hear from you. Let's go to another caller. Laura in Wisconsin, you're on the air.
Well, hi there.
Hi.
Hi. Well, you asked for solutions, and you also asked about the lawlessness, but I think some people don't realize the incrementalness of it, the micromanagement of what's happening. Just here in western Wisconsin, we're having issues with being pulled over legalities, and people don't think about, oh, it's just a cop, I'm just being pulled over by a cop, and he'll go away, and if he doesn't give me a ticket, then everything's okay. But
no, it's first contact. They're getting people not used to police, who aren't criminals, used to being in the system, so that you won't flinch when they pull you over and take you away to the FEMA camp, and the cop himself doesn't know. That's why they have checkpoints now to check to see if your license is in order. Totally unconstitutional. Sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
Well, what they've done here now is that you can legally register your vehicle even if you don't have a driver's license, and my husband is a disabled non-driver, and I get pulled over constantly in a vehicle because he has the registration, because it's a legal registration, but they're checking who the driver is.
Yeah, and that's a total violation of the Fourth Amendment. The illegal aliens are all legalized. Obama by fiat has legalized basically all of them. It's total fraud. The system is a fraud, and the police are being trained to make contact with the public, get us used to contact. There are actual Army psychological warfare films from the 60s that are online. We've played clips of them where they show how to dominate a public. It's everything they're doing here.
And as far as as far as like a solution, one of the biggest things I think is to, our generation and the generation before us and the generation before us, I'm a little older than you are, Alex, we're probably, the other people out there, the sheeple, are done. I mean, there's nothing we can really do for them, I don't think. There's maybe a few more to wake up.
And some young people are awake, but they're either awake or they're totally in the matrix. They've grown up under surveillance. They were born into slavery. They have no idea.
Yep. And what we need to do is what you and I have done, which is homeschool our children and get them out of the system and teach them what is real.
That's the answer. The globalists have broken away to build their technocracy from us. We've got to hold our resources back, sabotage the system every way we can, and pull out and teach our children this is an alien, evil system. Anything else, ma'am?
That's it. Just it was 30 years I've been homeschooling, and I got the kids out there, and they're awake as all can get out. And if everybody else would do it, we'd be great.
That's it. Keep the internet free. Everybody be activists in media. Get your children out of the system. Teach them everything on television is meant to wreck their mind, and that the government has been captured by foreign offshore banks. Knowing that is half the battle. More calls straight ahead. I mean, they're on television saying you didn't build your business, your kids don't belong to you. They're passing laws to let your kids have abortions without parental consent and take vaccines. And the same laws are being passed in Australia and England and Canada and the U.S. and Germany. It's global. It's big corporations. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, go look it up. They finance Agenda 21, Common Core curriculum, 2 + 2 = 5. Your kid won't know tyranny if they don't know what 2 + 2 equals. They finance disarming you. Of course foreign banks want you disarmed. Can you imagine the Greeks having all their property taken right now? If they had guns? This is real simple. All those rich bankers got private jets and armed bodyguards and live in armored fortresses. But they say you can't have bodyguards, your own bodyguard. I got like 15 calls here, but I'm going to go as fast as I can. Paul, Chris, and others. Paul, solutions to this tyranny. The last lady really said it. Get out of the system. I never used to say, you know, civil disobedience, noncompliance. The system's all a fraud. The foreign banks don't pay taxes. At this point, do whatever you got to do, folks. The system's against you. Paul in Ohio, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I wanted to come up with a solution first. I've been working with local governments, state governments, village cities, and I've been experiencing that's been the only solution I've seen up to this point, and getting out of the system between the vaccine.
That's it. The globalists come in and take over the local government. That's where the real power is, just to non-comply and sabotage. And by sabotage, I went to, for a week up in Hot Springs, Arkansas earlier this year with my family on a working vacation. They were having a water treatment statewide convention there, and I probably had 24 or more head water people come over who were listeners and said, listen, they passed a law saying we got to put fluoride in. When our cities voted it out, we just dump it. We don't put it in now. They were all, that's what you do. Go ahead, sorry.
This story is pretty big that I have for you, so you probably need to get my number and call me off air. But
go ahead.
The city I live in does put fluoride in the water. They know all about the toxins and the things that it does. That's just a whole other thing. I addressed that with them. They said, well, it'd be too much work to stop. They admitted it was dangerous. They said it'd be too much work to stop. But Agenda 21 has totally taken over my city, the city of East Liverpool. They hired a Utah-based firm, Better City LLC. Check them out. I don't know about them, but they're horrible. They paid them like $2.5 million to come in. They're now making it illegal for landlords. Well, the punishment is a first-degree misdemeanor, punishable by a $1,000 fine or 6 months in jail, up to that.
No, they're using zoning laws to roll out, like the family courts 100 years ago for eugenics, a total takeover of society.
Right. Well, what they're doing is they're now requiring landlords, I mean, they've been requiring landlords to buy licenses, but now the stipulation is that you register every detail of all, to be allowed to have a license, to rent out any property.
No, what guns you personally have, what they're going to do, it's all globally standardized, sir.
Every piece of information about not just the person on the lease, every single piece of information about every single person in the home. And you have to do a full criminal background check, checking for everything. From
but understand if it's illegal aliens, though, then they're all above the law and you have to leave them alone. I've talked to high-level national managers of some of the biggest, I knew this years ago, but now it's in the news, of national chains of apartment complexes. They tell them, let the illegals have 10 to apartment. If a citizen has one extra person visiting for more than 2 days, kick them out. We got to make way for the illegals.
But right, so it's illegal. If these people, if they can't pass the background check and the credit check, and you've got to give all that information to the city.
No. What you do is you go in, you point it out in city council, you show where they're leaving illegal aliens alone, and it's the selective enforcement is how you'll bring them down. Send me info, sir, in an email, showtips@infowars.com. I'm fully aware of it. It's global standardized zoning to shut America down. And the insiders can run crack houses full of whoever they want. You will be shut down no matter what you do. It's mafia government, sir. Chris in Tennessee, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, thanks. 2 quick examples. We need to be willing to make real sacrifices, and they need to be visible. I work as a contract project manager and was working for a healthcare company, and we're installing software into a hospital. They told me I couldn't go into the hospital unless I agreed to take the flu vaccine. I flatly refused. Had a chance to lose my job there. They finally backed down because I refused to take their flu vaccine.
And everybody's got to say no together because now they're going to make it hundreds of vaccines they're going to make you take, which on record hurts you. Go ahead.
So they're trying to link that to your job, which is illegal.
That's right.
Second example, I dared to bring up to a coworker that I would rather drive than fly on a business trip. Because of dealing with the TSA. Instead of listening to me on that, they tattled on me to my boss.
Oh, no, that's secret police. Oh, yeah, saying you don't love the government is now a reason to be fired. You were fired because the secret police got you in the free country?
Secret police, I guess they work as other contractors in my industry.
So I was interrupting you. Did you say you got fired?
Yes, I did. I lost that contract. So it wasn't a full-time employment job. So they could fire me a little bit more, you know.
Well, aren't they good little Soviet snitches? They'll be living in North Korea soon enough. Man, these people are scum. Go ahead.
And so the answer is decentralization. Your last caller mentioned about working within local politics. I've heard that before. All politics is local. That is where we have to really take the fight to them. The other thing is to make it a visible protest, against one of the largest apparatuses out there, and that's the TSA.
Well, exactly? I agree, because they're the tip of the spear in the takeover of the federal police. You're telling me that these contractors tattled on you when the TSA is almost as unpopular as Congress with less than 10% approval rating? So the people you worked with were so anti-liberty that what kind of contractor would fire you because you complained about the TSA?
People that love their jobs more than liberty. And that's where we
But see, they think the instinct is to grovel to tyranny and they'll get ahead. They're going to bring everything down. Oh, these people have no idea. They have no idea. Go ahead.
So the answer is to make it a visible display of not flying. Business people have got to stop flying. That is what's going to bring down the TSA. And people have to be willing to lose their jobs to do it. The pilots did it. I don't know why other business people can't.
Listen, I walked in a CVS today to buy a toothbrush for here at the office. And the guy behind the counter goes, my mom's a listener, blah, blah, blah. And I was going, okay, great. And he goes, by the way, don't film in here. My boss said, if you ever come in here, don't film. And I hadn't filmed in that CVS before. And I was like, with all these flu shot signs. So I'm going to go back there now. My iPhone was in the car just because they said that. And I'm going to call the manager out and everything. And go, what, you're going to film me? You got, get a 20% discount if I take the flu shot? Here's your own insert saying you can give me Guillain-Barré or kill me. I think I'm going to stand out front, not on your property, but the sidewalk, bullhorning that you can die from this shot. And the guy goes, well, listen, we just don't like it that you're anti-CVS. I go, it's not about CVS, dummy. I'm in here buying a stupid toothbrush. It's about every store I go in, they're pushing a shot that doesn't protect you from the flu and triples your chances of Alzheimer's in major studies. God bless you, sir. You're absolutely right. It's time to get aggressive. Yeah, there, New York Daily News. Man took a shot, brain swelled up, he died from the flu shot. Gardasil shots don't protect you from papilloma. They kill you in many cases. But so what? It's all fun. I'm going into overdrive. I have to do it, guys. I have to go to all the calls because we've got John and Eric and Alan and BB and Lola and Chris and Tony and Ben. But I'm going to just boom, boom, boom. When we come back, most stations don't carry the third hour because the third hour doesn't exist except in cyberspace at Infowars.com with the audio feeds, Infowars.com/show to find the free video and audio feeds, to see the high-quality archives, all my films, the nightly news, and more, Prisonplanet.tv. And we're going to start running a special this week. Need to get that yearly special going. where people get 3 months free when they sign up for a year. But you can sign up monthly right now. It's $5.95. And each monthly subscription is really 11 people can use the same username passcode. Create an original username passcode. Go get a prisonplanet.tv membership. You can see all my films in high def, other films, the live nightly news, the live events, the archives, the commercial-free podcast of the show, and it supports the transmission. Prisonplanet.tv. Give subscriptions today. Go give yourself a subscription, and then 11 people you can share the username and passcode with. Friends and family with that username and passcode. That's separate from your credit card info, so it's safe. We've set it up that way where you can share your username and passcode with up to 11 members of your family who can then simultaneously log in and see it all, and it supports the transmission. But for everybody else, free audio, video feeds of the radio show /TV show at Infowars.com/show. Other stations, other great shows in the news are coming up for you. Because I can say other great shows are on talk radio now. We've really led the way with true constitutional, libertarian, futurist research to where now all the big shows are covering these issues instead of attacking me because it all came true. Anyways, great job to the crew. This is it for the main radio broadcast, but internet only, coming up for 10, 15 minutes to finish up with your calls. I promise to get to your calls, so we will do this in overdrive at Infowars.com/show right now. Wake up to the tyranny, folks. Wake up to the facts. All right, I appreciate everybody who is online. Let's go to your phone calls right now. We're in overdrive on this December 1st, 2013 transmission as we desperately try to shake the sleeping giant that is humanity awake to the peril and bring down the globalist dehumanization power structure. Right now, let's go to John in Texas. Thank you for holding, sir.
Yeah, Alex Jones, please. Alex Jones.
Hey, I remember there used to be there used to be a prank caller on my radio show would do that.
No, a fan. that would be me.
Did you used to be in Austin? Somebody used to call into Access TV and say that.
I'm still here.
Oh, so you're not calling from Ohio?
Oh, I said Texas.
Okay, well, they put the wrong thing on there. It doesn't matter. Anyways, let's just say you're in Ohio now. Anyways,
okay, I'm in Ohio, and just have to open your eyes and, and get away from the stuff, because it's all over.
You had a big effect calling every Access television show going, Alex Jones, please, Alex Jones. And then they always thought it was me doing it.
Yes. And look where you're at now. Look where I'm at now. I'm still avoiding all that crap out there. It's everywhere.
Man, I tell you.
The crap you talk about.
Oh, I know. I mean, I wish my show hadn't become passé by everything coming true. I mean, it's just, but the globalists have done what they said they do. They're about a decade behind, but they're behind, but they're on, they're following the course. And let me tell you, we hope this train don't come in. We hope that this isn't a delivery that makes it. We need to return the New World Order to the sender. You know that Elvis song, Return the Sender, no such number, no such. In fact, can we go out with that in about 15 minutes? But you can find it on YouTube. Elvis, Return to Sender. Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, I was even at your
DPS protest.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, my God, man. I didn't know I'd actually met Alex Jones, please. For folks that don't know, can you just say Alex Jones, please, a whole bunch?
Alex Jones, please. Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Alex Jones, please. Alex Jones, please.
Imagine if people take that soundbite in a soundboard and begin prank calling everyone and putting it on YouTube, or calling into talk radio shows, talking for a few minutes, and then saying, I'm going to put someone on the line, and then hitting that. It could become a whole new meme that would definitely upset some people. Sorry, go ahead.
Years ago.
Pardon me, sir? Yes, sir, you're on the air.
I tried 17 years ago.
Well, you've done a great job, brother. Anything else you'd like to add, Eric from Austin, Texas?
I would say, wish you well.
Well, I wish you well as well, sir. Thank you very much. That's an example of what perseverance can do. Let's talk to Alan in Mass. You're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Alex, calling you from the great wasteland of John Hancock, Sam Adams, John Adams, and Robert Payne.
Now captured by kleptocratic fascists using a socialist communist model to manage and domesticate the public.
$17 billion in debt, brother, and growing every month. Just an abuse and a solution. The abuse, I live in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, which is next door to New Bedford. And our way of making a living down here is through fishing. And the Obama NOAA, NOAA, has managed to bankrupt over half of the fleet in Gloucester, which is one of the great fishing ports of the Northeast.
But globalist foreign trawlers are allowed to fish all they want. Same thing in Mexico, same thing on the West Coast. NOAA, the National Oceanic Weather Administration, in fact, MZ, two of our affiliates out in the Central Coast area, just south of San Francisco, it's on the news there. The NOAA people arrest surfers that come visiting if they get near a whale. If a whale just comes up by you, you're arrested. Go ahead, sorry. Tell folks about the reign of terror against small fishermen.
Well, in Gloucester, like I said, one of the great fishing ports of the Northeast, there are 30 boats that still fish out of a great fishing port. And out of the hundreds of boats that used to fish in New Bedford, over half are bankrupt. For instance, we did an expose the other day on NOAA, and he said because of global warming, there are no more cod off the coast of New England. So one of the fishermen went out. He had a 5,000-pound catch limit for cod, and it took him 5 hours to get his catch limit for the year of cod.
No, I know. They lie about everything. They say when a dust storm hits Mongolia that it's global warming. And again, it's all about them selectively. Listen, I've been down to Cozumel probably 20 times in my life or more. I can't go back now because all the fishermen are not allowed to fish anymore. They can't take you out fishing, and you see these big international trawlers fishing out there. And because the government got bought off, and the people can go move to Mexico City for slave labor, just like we can go move and I guess work for Walmart as well. I mean, this is a total plan. Go ahead.
Solution. Is there any type of pamphlet? Because I'll tell you, I want to shake my brother in that time, but I feel like I'm in Kmart yelling at mannequins. Is there any type of pamphlet, 3 or 4 pages maybe, is Obama bankrupting America? Is the New World Order a reality?
You know, I want to put stuff out along the lines of the chick tracts, but not, you know, just anti-Catholic stuff, but like the chick tracts, where there's like 10 of them that have the basic graphics, explaining the New World Order, how it's a mafia, how they work, how they're authoritarian, how they shut down economies, why they want your guns, short little pamphlet like a chick tract, why they want your kids, why they want to shut down your factory, what their plan is, and then show they own the factory in China, so when they shut you down, now you've got to buy it from them, then you have no job, now they can buy you up cheap. I mean, see, you're absolutely right. This is all stuff needs to be done.
Simplicity, though, my brother.
I agree. Maybe I should have a $10,000 contest where people come up with online comics or online graphic novels, and then the ones we pick, we pay, and then we put it out at cost. I agree. It's something I want to do. I want to do it all. I'm trying as best I can, but that's another great idea. I mean, I tell you, our listeners are a fountainhead of good ideas, and I've had the exact same ideas, brother.
God bless you, Alex.
Let me ask you a quick question. What are people saying about the fact that they don't let the small fishermen fish, or even the sports fishermen go out now? They harass everybody, but then don't touch the big international trawlers.
The Democrat Party is so ingrained in the culture that, like Savage once said, it's a mental disorder. And it really is a mental disorder. They're not getting it. And the biggest problem we have, too, in Massachusetts is we have such great athletic teams that they're so easily distracted with the Patriots and the Red Sox and the Bruins that they get so easily dissuaded from the bulwarks crashing down right around them.
Just like as Visigoth armies were marching 5 miles outside Rome and then defeated the Roman legions, there were still, in 410, games going on and sporting events as literally in days everyone was being raped and killed, and they didn't care. People, smart folks were pulling out and racing, to the west, to the seaports, and to Corsica and other areas to get out of Italy. What's Italy today? But the trendies, they just kept partying and kept having sex and kept gulping down goblets of wine until it all collapsed. And mathematically, that's where this is all headed. God bless you. I appreciate your call. Yeah, it really is a mental disorder because, look, I know the Republicans are corrupt and bad, and they go along with the same agenda because they're bought and paid for. But at least they have to act like they're pro-family, pro-gun and stuff. And Republicans go to sleep whenever they're in office, so it's almost as bad. But with Democrats, they don't care if they get triple charged for Obamacare. They don't care if they get cheated. They don't care if black unemployment doubles under Obama from 7.5% to 14, almost 15%. They don't care. It's like my team is winning. It's like Obama's their team. And it doesn't matter if MSNBC sounds like a Ku Klux Klan channel, just creating what I guess reverse racism would be the word. It just doesn't matter. It's like we're on the winning team, and that's what losers want to believe. They want to just think they're winners when they're losers. And it's the imagination and the delusion over the reality. All I want is for them to have prosperity. All I want is for us to come together around a Bill of Rights culture. All I want is to go to the stars. All I want is to have life extension further advanced and deployed to the people. All I want is for my children to have a future. I realize how short life is, and I have a love affair with animals and thinking about all their generations and thinking about the whales and all their generations. And then I love humans so much even more. And I just want humans to have a future. And I want people to look back on my work and use it as an example of something good. And I just admire people's art. I admire people's creations, their inventions. And I realize that a lot of people don't admire other people that are successful or smart. They hate you. And it's just a very ugly, sick culture. And I'm not on some high horse, as I call it here, but at least I know good from evil. And that's the final equation. The answer to the final equation is the elite are inbred psychopaths and sociopaths. They hate themselves. They project it onto everyone else. The public has had it so good for so long. Prosperity makes monsters. Adversity makes men. Victor Hugo actually flipped it. He said, adversity makes men, prosperity makes monsters. The French statesman and philosopher. And it's really true. I mean, I'm a monster compared to me and my great-great-grandpa and people like that. I mean, who worked literally 18 hours a day and were meaner than a bucket of rattlesnakes and, were tougher than nails and everything else. And I'm not just projecting and romanticizing people back then. It's so wonderful. It's just that I can look at old photographs of my ancestors, and they look meaner and tougher than, somebody like Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood, all skinny, rugged, those eyes awake, electricity in them. I look at my ancestors, they all look like Clint Eastwood. I don't look like Clint Eastwood. I look like a big, soft wimp. And, I mean, I had, ancestors who had, 4 wives because they wear each one out, having, 35 kids and, gun battles and just constantly killing people that mess with them. And, compared to that, my ancestors, if somebody messed with them, would start killing people. And I look at people like that compared to what we are today. We're a joke. They've had geneticists look at somebody in Sparta 3,000 years ago compared to the genetics now. We are wasted, folks, with all the lead, the mercury, the toxins. Our DNA is shredded. We're getting dumber. We're falling apart, ladies and gentlemen. And at least I can admit it. I look at photos on both sides of my family. of ancestors going back 160, 170 years ago, and they all look like they were on fire with life, ladies and gentlemen. Their eyes went right through you. They all had trillion-mile stares. You look at people now, we're wrecked by television and all of it. This is totally toxic, this environment, ladies and gentlemen, to the soul, not just chemically. Eric in Ohio, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, it's great to get through. I've been listening to you for a few months. I can tell you your show has given me virtually a full-scale awakening. I don't want to dwell too much. I'm just complimenting you, but I did want to get that out. Anyhow, I heard an earlier caller alluding to how the young generation is a lost cause, so to speak. And for a long time, I was sort of a cynic and thought that, for various reasons. But it's kind of what you were just talking about, the culture of television, of hip-hop, these sick misogynists who just bathe in meaningless currency and glorify it. We need to have a new figure in media, be it in music, be it in a movie, who is just the antithesis of that, a rugged individualist, as your ancestors you were just describing.
All our ancestors, came here through adversity, and you're right. That's why we've got to take over the culture. We've got to vote with our dollars for icons and images that are healthy. And even high-level Hollywood folks have told me they want to put out wholesome stuff, but the higher-ups tell them don't do it. But even the higher-ups are buckling because it's the wholesome messages that make the money now. And so there's a real battle even in Hollywood. Listen, when you get down to the final wire with this evil, even people that have been part of the system aren't going to want to go along with it. This is not going to be a cakewalk for the people that are running this. Go ahead.
I totally agree. I live in a small conservative area. A lot of my friends are, they're avid hunters, fishermen, trappers, and it's that spirit, Alex, that is going to set us free from this tyranny. It's not about what am I trying to say here? It is. I don't think it's about any specific facet of this. I drive out in the country. I see sometimes the clouds are in literal gridlock of chemtrails, and then now I hear you talking about fluoride in the water. But it's not about any individual facet, Alex. I think it's about an all-encompassing spirit of individuality. That will set us free. Sorry, I'm not being very articulate. But,
no, you are. You're awesome, BB, and thank you for the call. And that's the thing. When I was a kid, we'd be on our ranch hunting and had some hunters that were part of a leash, and you might, every couple of years, have the game warden pull up and go, hey, what's going on? No, nice deer. And they would just see there were tags on their antlers and leave you alone. Now they show up. We're part of a federal task force. We're going in here without a warrant and run around and then do it to the next farm, the next ranch, bugging their eyes out with their hands on their guns like they're superheroes. And when they do that, you got to buck up and go, hey, man, quit treating me like I'm a criminal. Quit bugging your eyes out at me. Quit. Americans act like people in North Korea, folks. Everyone grovels to anybody in a uniform, and that's always the sign of tyranny. And so those trappers and hunters and people, when you see a bunch of game wardens, and I'm not saying they're all criminals, but they're trying to make them that way now, in a restaurant eating, you walk over and go, why do you guys act so arrogant and powerful now? And they try to act all quiet, and we go, why are you acting arrogant? Why are you acting like I'm a slave? Why don't you move to Mexico? And they go, hey, buddy, watch it. Go, oh, what are you, a tough guy? What, all four of you big and tough? You don't like somebody talking to you? I do that now. When I see a bunch of guys on a power trip, that's what I do. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done rolling over. I'm telling you, folks, they're trying to train all the paramilitary, police, game wardens, military, that we're an enemy. And when they act like that and we grovel, they think it's normal what they're doing. Just like if you run from a dog, folks, it'll run up and bite you. When these people start growling at you, you go, what are you growling at me for? You think I'm food? I'm not your food. Get that through your stinking narcotics trafficking head. Excuse me. Well, I just talked to BB. Okay, sorry, Eric. I'm out of control. Thank you, Eric. I guess the light flashes on the next person. I'm sorry, Eric in Ohio. God bless you. BB in Texas, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. At least I had forewarning that I was coming on, not just a little...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Globalism, no solution. It's here. It's how it is. It is all dependent upon how it gets implemented.
That's right. Foreign, ruthless, eugenics-based banks wanting to wreck everything to control us, in control, running our lives with power-tripping paramilitaries, arming to the teeth, strutting around in literal goose steps. Go ahead.
Well, I just think that the idea of globalism, whether it's done by foreign banksters or, Aborigines, whatever, that time and space has been shrunk here on planet Earth with the internet, with travel, with, jet airplanes. So there's going to have to be some kind of globalism. It is all going to be dependent upon how it is implemented. A solution. Perhaps we should re-examine reenacting the Sherman Antitrust Act. This whole situation is reminding me of a Robert Heinlein book called Friday, where the corporations are completely in control. Have you ever read Friday by Heinlein?
Yes, I have. I've read almost all of his books. Time Enough for Love, Revolt 2024. I think that's the name of it. Starship Troopers, you name it.
Well, I'm a Heinlein freak, and I love that Heinlein has a more positive, as a science fiction prophet, he's got a more positive, most of his stuff is on a more positive kind of Star Trek utopian bent. However, his main protagonists are basically, from turn of the century Kansas City, so they're very realistic. And, the Sherman Antitrust Act, Reagan getting rid of that, allowing companies like Nestle to own, Purina. I mean, just, it's all under one big conglomerate.
Absolutely. It is a global monopoly of interlocking corporations, less than really 20 that own the Fortune 100, who are engaged in a hostile takeover of the family, national government, state governments, the churches. That's it. You've crystallized it. We need to break up these trusts, break up these monopolies, because they're not free market and they're working against the interest of the individual.
The law is already on the books. I mean, the Sherman Antitrust Act was in 1890. Reagan stopped it, and it's already there. I
thought the Sherman Antitrust Act was 1906, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 1890. So
I don't know. Let's look. Guys, Google Sherman Antitrust Act. Check with the NSA two-way mirror.
I'm not as good as you might, because you...
No, I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm checking to see if I'm accurate. You brought up the absolute solution here. It's one of the biggest solutions. You're right.
I do not know how you do this 6 days a week, and I don't want to get all, oh, thank you, or whatever, but I sure appreciate the fact that you are willing to tell truth. It may not even be the right truth or the wrong truth, but, at the minimum, I trust that it is your truth.
Well, by the way, let me just correct myself. The Sherman Antitrust Act is 1890, but I think there was an expansion of it in 1906, I think was the key. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Okay, and I have a shirt idea for you.
That's right. Theodore Roosevelt finally enforced it in 1906. But you're right, it's 1890. Sorry, go ahead, man.
I have a shirt idea for you, too.
Okay.
I think you should do an NSSA shirt using the little SS, insignia. Right? Are you tracking?
Yeah. Explain what the NFFA stands for.
No. In Nevada, Sierra, Alpha.
NSSA.
Yeah.
And what is
like how you have your Tyranny Response Team shirt, which I have in my closet that I ordered from Infowars.com.
Thank you.
The Tyranny Response Team shirt where it looks like the little, police shirts or whatever. I think you should do one that's like NSSA. To make fun of the little...
I get it. In fact, I said I was going to make one as a pun on them because they're trying to shut down free speech criticism of the NSA and TSA. And then that's great. The National Socialist or the National Soviet System of America. What does NSSA stand for in your mind?
Well, I just kind of like the visual of those NS, the SS, like Nazi swastika in the middle of the N and the A. I think that says a lot, that I think that would be a visual that people would be like, oh, that's going to cause controversy. Okay, and one more thing. I want you to read a poem by Emily Dickinson called I Died for Beauty. It's 3 stanzas. It's not real long. This is the only way I get through life, Emily Dickinson. And it has been a blessing to know that someone like Emily Dickinson fully got what you and a lot of people are talking about.
Wait a minute. I think I've read that poem before. Guys, will you print me I'll Die for Beauty? Or what's the exact name of it?
I Died for Beauty by Emily Dickinson.
Yeah, I think I've read I've Died or I'd Die for Beauty.
I have it up if you would like me to read it, but I know you may have some other
No. You go ahead and read it.
All right. This is called I Died for Beauty by Emily Dickinson. I died for beauty, but was scarce, adjusted in the tomb, when one who died for truth was lain in an adjoining room. He questioned softly why I failed. For beauty, I replied, and I for truth. The two are one. We brethren are, he said. And so, as kinsmen met a night, we talked between the rooms until the moths had reached our lips and covered up our names. So there is truth and beauty. You know, even when the truth is ugly, there's still some beauty in just knowing the truth. So, and I appreciate you for bringing it to a lot of us here on planet Earth. You are appreciated.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I'm very humbled by that, and God bless you. I appreciate your call, BB. You know, I'll tell you, when I've been on air a long time, I start kind of babbling, and it's really hard to even string sentences together. And when people call up and tell me that I'm doing a great job, I'm just trying to survive and build a future just like you are. And I am humbled by that, and so thank you so much. But that's what it comes down to, is a value of truth, a value of justice, a value of not being discriminated against by big monopoly combines that are literally trying to end a future ladder of success to everyone so that they can dominate and run our lives in a ruthless quest of control freak vision that can never be quenched. It really comes down to that. And these people really are more evil than I can even describe. You know, countries always demonize the other country they're going to attack. Well, we're under globalist attack, and they've demonized basic liberty. I cannot describe in my mental lexicon, semantically, how unmitigatedly raw and wicked and just destructive the globalists are. Their evil is so complex, so deep, that it boggles the mind. I'll take 3 more calls and then end the show, but I've got to make this point. And I've tried to make this point before, but it's so complex that I feebly can't explain all the different data that go into it, all the datum. The globalists say they're establishing world government to forcibly reduce population because humans are like a plague eating through the resources and damaging the earth. And then meanwhile, they block development of really clean technologies, roll out fake alternative technologies that don't mitigate anything, engage in open genetic engineering, nuclear reactors melting down, biological pollution, all these horrible things, and then put in policies in the late 1940s. And the British Commission on Population, I read the whole thing, it's like 200 pages long, admitted all this in 49, His Royal Highness's commission, Queen Elizabeth's dad, that they would actually help the third world explode to have a giant population, to then use them as an army of slaves to deindustrialize the West, and then kill them off later. So the globalists actually didn't allow the clean industrialization of the third world or the West, and then caused a population explosion to then leverage out and bankrupt the West, and then have the third world fall into squalor they'd never been in before as a financial black hole to suck down everyone else. I mean, whoa, that is so satanic. And then they run around lecturing everyone all day about how they're doing all this evil stuff to save the earth when they're not even doing that. It'd be one thing if they were putting poison in the water to actually try to reduce population. That'd be evil enough. They're just doing it because they like to watch us get sick and die and laugh at us when we're all mentally retarded. I mean, it's just evil, folks. It's like Bradley Manning said, watching drones kill people was like watching a mean kid burn ants with a magnifying glass. Or George Bush stick, you know, firecrackers in dogs' rear ends or whatever. I mean, you know, it is beyond, it's 1,000 light years beyond Jeffrey Dahmer's nightmares. And I've studied these people, and I know who they are. And you're like, well, they're so evil, why haven't they killed you? Because it would put a big yellow exclamation mark, a big highlighted, you know, screaming sign that I was correct. Plus, in their argument, we're already done, so what does it matter? I mean, they kind of like hearing that what they've done is so horrible. It's almost like I'm heralding their satanic arrival, even though I'm not with them. And the public just can't even begin to understand how real this is. I mean, this is not a game, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot describe to you the black pits of evil that are the hearts of these people we're dealing with. I mean, if you don't believe in God, the devil, whatever, they're picking up on some energy source, some transmission from hell. I don't know what you want to call it. This makes Final Fantasy Hellraiser Event Horizon look like a picnic destination, okay? Okay, I mean, these people are not people, okay? I'm here to tell you. And I have seen what they're into. I've studied it. And I pick up on what they're into, and let me tell you something. It will curl your hair. And people go, well, that's scary. I better roll over to them. That won't save you. And you can't run. You got to fight, folks. And the first thing is you've got to admit how evil they are. I'm telling you, it comes down to that. And then you got to make decisions to get out of their system as much as you can. But humans are adaptable, so we've adapted to the evil. They've used our own adaptability against us. Let's real fast. Lola in the Midwest, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say first off that my 10-year-old son talks about you a lot in school, and he's been informing people. Also, we are also taking your nascent iodine.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Not only does it support the broadcast and what we do, my children take it, my wife takes it, I take it. I believe from my research it's the very best product I could bring you. So thank you for your financial support.
Yes, and I just also wanted to say the big thing to wake people up is going to city council meetings and speaking up. In the city that I was in, there was a lot of crime going on, and they wanted to bring more subsidized housing into it. But I was showing them the crime statistics, and they basically said that it wasn't crime at all. It was garbage or, police calls for garbage. But yet and still, I knew how to read the codes because I was in criminal justice at the time. And they basically sent a police officer over to sexually harass me and shut me up. And also it made the news, and their conclusion was they couldn't confirm or deny what the police officer had did, but that did not stop me. I continued to talk at the city council meetings, and people, no matter what they try to do to threaten you, we need to stand up, talk, inform people, especially at the city council meeting.
Yeah, they sent the Travis County SWAT team to threaten me once when I was going to speak every week at Citizens Communication at the county commission. This is all on video. We got to dig it up and put it on YouTube. And I blew up at the SWAT team and just said, you're a bunch of traitors. How dare you try to intimidate me and tell me not to speak? Basically, I'm ready to fight you right now. And then they all went, oh, come over to our office. And the head guy's like, I'm a listener. They told us to do it. We're sorry. So they fired him, basically, over that. But I know. I mean, look at Baca in L.A. County. It's now come out that they hire criminals on purpose. Of course they do.
Right. And then when it went into the media, I saw all the comments, and people were like, oh, my gosh, this poor police officer, look what she's accusing him of. He must be right because he wears the badge, and she must be wrong trying to get some money out of the state. And
but those very same people know that the cops are bad in Mexico and North Korea and China and Russia. I mean, exactly. in most histories, the police end up being oppressive.
Right.
I mean, the redcoats were oppressive. That's one reason for rebellion. George Washington hung people for doing stuff cops do today because he knew, propaganda-wise, he had to have the highest level of moral military or they would lose the war. He said, morally, we must be the best army in the world. And because they were so moral, a bunch of different German generals and people came over and actually helped George Washington. That's a whole other story. God bless you, and I appreciate your call. Appreciate the crew staying late tonight as well. 2 final callers, Ben and Tony. Thanks for holding, Ben. You're on the air.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet, brother. Your phone's a little low. Speak up for me.
Okay, sorry.
No, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to just quickly talk about the problem with social services and how they're, the pattern of them constantly.
Oh, well, that's like the Patriot Act is called patriotic. The Affordable Care Act is called affordable. The New Freedom Initiative is called New Freedom. That's all the opposite of what they call it. social services were set up 110 years ago, roughly. Well, before that in England, but here about 110 years ago, to break up the family and to carry out racial hygiene. Okay, so they're outside law. The family courts are a fraud, a vestigial fraud, pre-Agenda 21. They are their own fraudulent system. So, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, well, specifically, I wanted to talk about an article that I found on the Telegraph, Telegraph's website, which actually I noticed you had linked on your site, about over in UK, a pregnant Italian woman went over to visit in the UK, and she got some. Oh, hang on, I've got the article here.
She had some type of problem with her boyfriend, so they forced a cesarean section because they wanted the baby immediately to be adopted, and now 15 months later, she can't get her baby back. So they literally chopped her open early, forced surgery to steal her baby as an act of a sacrament of state dominance over her. Child taken from womb by social services. Essex Social Services has obtained a court order against a woman that allowed her to be forcibly sedated and for her child to be taken from her womb by cesarean section. Have you ever seen that? That's hardcore surgery. A pregnant woman, I guarantee you they sterilized her while they were at it. That's why they did that. A pregnant woman has had her baby forcibly removed by cesarean by social workers. You mean by demonic child kidnapping forces? Yes.
Yeah, no, I was absolutely horrified when I read that. I mean, I've never read anything like that.
I've had members of the British Parliament on that say if you're pregnant, don't go to the UK. They'll body snatch your baby. And by the way, they hire foreigners who don't even speak English to do it. Most of the social services in England are now foreigners. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, she had
from the former Soviet Union, I would add. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, she had some kind of panic attack or something, and they anyway, so she called for help. Anyway, they put her in this psychiatric ward, and then after she was in there for a few weeks, the social workers deemed that for quote unquote the safety of the baby, they had to they forcibly drugged her.
No, I know. G. Gordon Liddy, when he had a radio show, I remember hearing it. His producer voiceover lady, like, ooh, G. Gordon Liddy, a famous voice actress, no criminal record. Her dad had just died, and she kept seeing these ads. Are you depressed? You need to talk to a counselor? So she calls and goes, yeah, I'm depressed. My dad died. They go, are you going to kill yourself? She goes, no, of course not. They go, yes, you are. And she said, how dare you? And hung up the phone. SWAT team hit her hard, took her to mental institution. Of course, she was good looking. You know what happened next. I mean, these are just places lurking with goblins. Go ahead.
No, I know. Yeah. So anyway, they forcibly sedated her. Took her baby by cesarean section. She had no idea that that was going to happen when they sedated.
No. They chopped her open. Well, she called the government. And they came to help. Yeah,
and now the baby the baby's 15 months old now, and it's in foster care. And the judge that's been presiding over this. Even though now he's observed.
And by age 2, if the baby cries, it'll be put on serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Go ahead.
Because
that's a mental illness if you cry as a child.
Because now, according to the article, they said that she was having the panic attack because she'd gone off her bipolar medication. That's what the article said.
No. They put you on the drugs that make you go crazy. You shouldn't be on them when you're pregnant anyways. They're highly toxic, and then they take your child. God bless you. I hear you. I know. This is what they do. It's the same thing here. Look, when I've had 3 babies, and we went because we know the doctor, she's a nice lady, but it didn't matter. And it was a brand new, nice hospital we went to. And the first time I figured it out, by the 3rd time I had big debates with them, they'd have the head nurse come in and go, will you mind taking this file downstairs for me, honey cakes? Then they turn to your wife with a computer hooked into the wall and go, you got enough money? Is he nice to you? We're friends. And the whole thing is going to social services. If you say you don't have enough money, your baby's gone. If you say, oh, he yells at me, your baby's gone. If they test and there's any marijuana in your blood, your baby's gone. You don't know when you enter a hospital, a giant bloodthirsty spider is sitting there wanting to kidnap your children. Go ahead. Let's take the final call here. We're done with Tony, right? So who's up next here? Tony's next. We just talked to Ben in Canada. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, the whole system is there to prey on you. It's all militarized against you, period. There's no way to describe it. Let's talk to Tony in Michigan. Last caller. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. How you doing?
Doing all right, brother.
First of all, I just want to say, man, you guys do a great job. But I know we got a lot of solutions out there. But, man, we need a physical leader. We need somebody that's going to physically lead us.
Well, you know, I tried to go out and protest violations of the First Amendment and got attacked by a bunch of criminal goons. I mean, this is what America is. It's a cesspit.
I mean, I'm up here in Michigan. I drive semi. I was on the road, and I was watching your videos when I was off duty while you guys were down there. If you would have fought back to them cops, everybody that was there with you would have stood right behind you and fought. All I'm saying is, before it gets too out of control, man, you're a leader. I know you don't like to put yourself up on a pedestal, but man, you're a leader. You got millions of viewers. You got millions of followers. I just think that before shit gets out of hand, excuse my language, you gotta physically lead, man.
Well, I am trying to lead. I mean, I built a media operation. I'm trying to launch a TV nightly news program on cable, getting very close to that. I am trying to make films. I'm trying to manage folks. I'm trying to be a father. I try to go out and cover events. I go cover Bilderberg. I go cover First Amendment violations. I try to have other activists on, and 80% of the time, people that I've helped for years turn against me and make up stuff because they think it's like a pageant for who the biggest patriot star is. And it's just really screwed up, and I'm trying my best. So if you want me to be a leader, what can I do? What can I do to try to lead better?
I work a lot. So, like, for me to come protest, or a lot of us people who work, people to come with you, you got millions of viewers. If you got 10% of your viewers 6 months from now, and we planned on, put donations in that you're, for people to get bus tickets to meet up somewhere, you got 100,000 people meeting up somewhere. You still have the opportunity 200 years from now to have people read about you.
I know, but what I'm saying is, what do the 100,000 people do? I mean, it's about getting people all over the country to take over their city council politically. It's about people electing good sheriffs that are constitutional. It's about getting good people into Congress. It's about recognizing the criminal globalist takeover. God bless you, and I appreciate your call, Tony. Listen, I am praying every day that I be a better leader. I am praying every day that I be more articulate. I am praying every day that I do the right media events and that I make the right decisions. But, I mean, I'm up at 4 a.m. sometimes doing Coast to Coast AM. I'm not complaining, but, man, I'm working a lot. And I've even given up guilty pleasures like going to movies and drinking beer and stuff to try to even be more serious. So it really just comes down to we've already had a big effect, and you're not going to see one flash event fix everything. We have to say to the New World Order, we reject you. We know you're causing most of the problems. You are accentuating every problem you didn't cause. You are letting all these crises mature so that you can pose as the savior. We know you're bad. We know you're corrupt. I mean, if you look at Rahm Emanuel or Barack Obama or the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers or the Queen of England or Henry Kissinger or Al Gore or Bill Clinton or all these other big, New World Order types, I mean, they are scum. Playing God with our lives, and we just let them boss us around and let them set up the future and let them engineer everything. We have to become aware that the video games aren't where it's happening. And I'm not saying it isn't fun to play video games sometimes. I was playing a shoot-'em-up duck hunting game today for an hour with my kids as a diversion. Those plug-and-play deals. You plug into the TV, the Duck Dynasty game. But that's a game. That's not the real world. And the real battles going on all around you. Real decisions are being made about the future of all of our lives that are very, very detrimental and very, very bad and very, very diabolical. We have been kidnapped, hijacked by very vicious anti-human technocrats who really are sick people. And we need to become aware of that and say no. Well, that was a 2-hour, 42-minute transmission. We did 2 hours of regular radio, 42 minutes of Overdrive. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central.
I gave a letter to the postman.
And please financially support us. Get the InfoWars magazine subscriptions. Give them as gifts. Get the new American coffee. Wake Up America Immune Support. It's all at InfoWarsLife.com. And again, please tell the globalist that we do not want their census. We do not want their questions. We do not want them to turn us into perps. We do not want the police to make first contact with us, their enemy. We understand what's happened. And so we are telling them that their letter is going back. We reject them. We recognize the New World Order as the enemy. And it's time for everybody, whether they're the military, police, an auto mechanic, a school teacher, a doctor, a truck driver. It's time for all of us to say, return to sender. All right, that's it for this transmission. See you back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central. God bless you all.
No such person.